NKVD. The People's Commissariat for Internal Affairs, NKVD, was the central organ for security, intelligence and political control in the Soviet Union during World War II. It combined functions of secret police, border troops and foreign espionage. Within it, the GUGB, Main Directorate of State Security, oversaw state security and counter-espionage, while the INO, Foreign Department, ran spy networks across Europe and the United States. The NKVD's Osobye Oddeli monitored loyalty within the Red Army, executing deserters and traitors after June 1941. Domestically, it managed mass surveillance, censorship, deportations and the Gulag labour system. Working closely with the GRU, military intelligence, and later SMERSH, death to spies counterintelligence, the NKVD formed the core of Stalin's wartime security apparatus. GRU. The main intelligence directorate, GRU, was the military intelligence agency of the Red Army during World War II. Operating independently from the NKVD, it gathered strategic, operational and tactical intelligence vital to Soviet victory. GRU networks uncovered German troop build-ups before Operation Barbarossa, tracked Wehrmacht fuel routes and relayed details of the Kursk offensive, helping the Soviets prepare defences. Its agents in Switzerland and Tokyo reported that Japan would not attack the USSR, allowing Stalin to shift divisions to Moscow in 1941. Controlling radio intercept units, reconnaissance battalions and code-breaking, the GRU coordinated partisan sabotage and became Stalin's key wartime military intelligence source. Before we move forward, if you've enjoyed learning how the NKVD and GRU shaped Soviet intelligence, the next section on SMERSH will reveal even darker operations. Subscribe now to Crisis Logs so you don't miss such historical explainers every week. SMERSH. The counterintelligence organization SMERSH, an abbreviation of Smrtspionam, meaning death to spies, was created in April 1943 by direct order of Joseph Stalin. It operated under the People's Commissariat of Defense and was tasked with eliminating enemy spies, traitors and deserters within the Red Army. SMERSH agents interrogated returning prisoners of war, uncovered German Abwehr and SS infiltrators, and executed collaborators in newly liberated Soviet territories. The organization also directed deception operations, such as feeding false intelligence to German command during Operation Bagration 1944. Through its field units and mobile investigative detachments, SMERSH ensured loyalty, discipline and ideological purity across Soviet forces, making it the most feared wartime counterintelligence body in the USSR. NKGB. The People's Commissariat for State Security, NKGB, was established in February 1941 after separating from the NKVD to specialize in foreign espionage and counterintelligence. It became the Soviet Union's dedicated state security and intelligence agency during the war. The NKGB managed networks of agents across Europe and the United States, targeting military industries, scientific research, and diplomatic communications. Its second directorate focused on counterintelligence within government institutions, while the first directorate handled foreign operations. Dissolved briefly after the German invasion of June 1941, it was reinstated in April 1943. Strengthening Stalin's control over intelligence coordination. Working alongside the GRU and SMERSH, the NKGB centralized strategic espionage and political security during the final phase of World War II. Comintern Intelligence Section. The Communist International Intelligence Section, often called the Comintern's OMS, International Liaison Department, functioned as the Soviet Union's global espionage and coordination network before and during World War II. Established in 1919 and active until its dissolution in May 1943, it linked foreign communist parties to Moscow through covert communication channels, funding routes, and ideological training. Its agents organised underground movements in France, Germany, Spain, and China, transmitting intelligence on political and military developments back to the USSR. The OMS also provided forged passports, codes, and courier networks to Soviet operatives abroad. Even after the Comintern's closure, many of its networks were quietly absorbed by the NKGB and GRU, continuing to serve Soviet wartime intelligence operations worldwide. Partisan intelligence networks. The partisan intelligence networks were clandestine Soviet operations that gathered and relayed military intelligence from enemy-occupied territories between 1941 and 1945. Coordinated by the GRU, Main Intelligence Directorate, and later supported by SMERSH. These networks operated behind German lines front lines across Belarus, Ukraine, the Baltics, and eastern Poland. Partisan scouts intercepted radio transmissions, mapped German troop positions, and sabotaged supply routes and communication lines before major Soviet offensives, such as Operation Bagration in June 1944. Many units, including the Belarusian People's Avengers Brigade, combined guerrilla warfare with systematic reconnaissance. Intelligence from these networks directly informed Red Army artillery targeting and movement planning, making the partisans an essential extension of Soviet military intelligence on occupied soil. Soviet Naval Intelligence. The Naval Intelligence Directorate, known as RUVMF, was the intelligence arm of the Soviet Navy during World War II. Operating under the People's Commissariat of the Navy, it gathered information on Axis naval movements, submarine routes, and coastal defences. RUVMF units intercepted radio traffic from the German Kriegsmarine, tracked U-boat operations in the Baltic and Arctic seas, and coordinated reconnaissance flights over key naval bases such as Kiel and Danzig. In 1942, Soviet naval spies in Sweden and Finland reported German fuel convoys to Norway, enabling targeted submarine ambushes. RUVMF also supported Allied convoy coordination through Murmansk and Arkhangelsk, making it a critical link between Soviet maritime warfare and global intelligence exchange. Glavlit. The main Directorate for Literature and Publishing Affairs, known as Glavlit, served as the Soviet Union's central censorship and information security authority during World War II. Established in June 1922, it expanded significantly after June 1941 to safeguard classified military and political information. Glavlit's responsibilities included reviewing newspapers, radio broadcasts, books, and soldiers' letters to prevent the release of sensitive details such as troop movements or losses. It worked with the NKVD and Red Army press bureaus to ensure accuracy and maintain morale. By 1943, Glavlit also monitored scientific publications and international correspondence, aligning public communication with wartime security policy while maintaining the confidentiality of Soviet military operations. Residenturas. The residenturas were covert intelligence stations operating under the cover of Soviet embassies and consulates abroad during World War II, 1939 to 1945. Each residentura was directed by a resident, an intelligence officer officially listed as a diplomat, but secretly reporting to the NKGB, People's Commissariat for State Security, or the GRU, Main Intelligence Directorate. These outposts functioned in key cities such as Berlin, London, Washington, and Tokyo, managing espionage networks, code operations, and information exchanges. In 1942, Residenturas in the United States relayed data on Lend-Lease shipments and atomic research, later known through the Venona decrypts. By coordinating diplomatic and covert channels, residenturas became the nerve centres of Soviet foreign intelligence collection during the war. NKPS Security Directorate. The Security Directorate of the People's Commissariat for Railways, known as the NKPS Security Directorate, was responsible for protecting Soviet military transport and logistics networks during World War II. Operating under both the NKVD and Ministry of Transport, it oversaw the security of railway lines, depots and supply convoys critical to Red Army operations. Its officers coordinated with NKVD transport troops to prevent sabotage, espionage and theft along the vast Soviet rail system. During the Battle of Stalingrad, 1942 to 1943, NKPS units ensured uninterrupted troop and ammunition movement despite heavy bombardment. By 1944, the Directorate also implemented railway code systems and surveillance patrols, making it central to maintaining the logistical integrity of the Eastern Front. GUGB. The main Directorate of State Security, known by its Russian initials GUGB, was the intelligence and counterintelligence branch of the NKVD, People's Commissariat for Internal Affairs, during World War II. Formed in 1934, it was responsible for protecting state security, uncovering espionage, and conducting foreign intelligence operations. The GUGB managed sections for counter-espionage, cryptography, communications interception, and foreign operation through its INO, Foreign Department. In February 1941, the GUGB was reorganized to form the NKGB, People's Commissariat for State Security, focusing on external intelligence. However, its structure remained active within the NKVD, supporting frontline counterintelligence, radio surveillance, and code breaking until the war's end, serving as the foundation of Soviet state security and intelligence coordination. GRU Navy Branch. The GRU Navy Branch, officially designated RUVMF2, functioned as the Naval Intelligence Division of the main Intelligence Directorate GRU during World War II. It specialised in signals interception, radio direction finding and reconnaissance over sea routes. RUVMF2 operated from major naval bases such as Murmansk, Sevastopol and Kronstadt, collecting data on Axis submarine patrols, convoy routes and coastal defences. In 1943, its analysts decoded segments of German naval traffic in the Baltic and Arctic, contributing to successful Soviet submarine ambushes. The branch also coordinated with Allied naval intelligence through the Arctic convoys, exchanging encrypted navigation data. RUVMF2 thus became the central hub for maritime intelligence, linking GRU operations with the Soviet Navy's global wartime strategy.